"Can I clean your shoe in exchange for food?" the beggar woman asked the wealthy businesswoman. Jennifer Collins felt her legs tremble as she adjusted the executive briefcase on her shoulder. The meeting with the investors had been a complete disaster, and now she needed to find a solution before her cosmetics company went under for good. That's when she felt a light touch on her right arm. Looking down, she saw a girl of about 10, wearing tattered clothes and messy hair. "Can I clean your shoe in exchange for food?" the child asked in a shaky voice. Jennifer was about to ignore her and walk away, as she always did with beggars in New York City's financial district. But something in the girl's voice made her stop completely. "What was that?" she asked, removing her sunglasses to get a better look. "I clean shoes really well. Grandma Margaret taught me. I just want a sandwich," the girl insisted, showing an old cloth she carried in her pocket. Jennifer glanced at her own authentic Italian leather shoes. They were spotless as always, but there was something in the girl's brown eyes that stirred a strange feeling in her chest. "What's your name?" she asked, surprising herself. "Emily Grace, but everyone calls me Emmy," the girl replied, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. The name echoed in Jennifer's mind like distant thunder. Emily Grace, the same name she had chosen for her daughter 8 years ago, before the accident that changed her life forever. "Where do you live, Emmy?" "Nowhere. I stay with Grandma Margaret in a square nearby. She's sick and can't work anymore," the girl explained, vaguely pointing in a direction. Jennifer felt her heart race. Something wasn't right here. This coincidence was impossible to ignore. "All right, you can clean my shoe, but I want you to come with me to my office afterward. I'll give you real food, not just a sandwich." Emmy's eyes sparkled with hope, but quickly filled with suspicion. "You're not going to take me somewhere bad, are you? Grandma always says not to trust strangers." "I won't hurt you, I promise," Jennifer replied, and for the first time in years her voice sounded genuinely tender. The girl knelt on the cold mall floor and got to work. Her movements were precise and careful, as if she truly knew what she was doing. Jennifer watched every gesture, every expression, searching for signs that would confirm her suspicions. "Grandma taught me that clean shoes show respect," Emmy remarked as she worked. "Your grandmother sounds like a wise woman." "She is. She's taken care of me forever. Says my parents left when I was a baby," the girl said without stopping her polishing. Jennifer's legs wobbled. She had to lean against the wall to keep from falling. "Left how?" "I don't really know. Grandma gets sad when I ask. She just says they couldn't stay with me." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. When Emmy finished, Jennifer inspected her shoes. They were truly shining, better than when they'd first come from the store. "Very well done. Now let's get you something to eat," Jennifer said, extending her hand to help the girl up. The touch of Emmy's small, rough hands against her soft skin sent a shiver through Jennifer. It was like an electric current had passed through her body. They walked together to the private elevator leading to the company's office. The whole way, Jennifer discreetly studied the girl's profile, the shape of her nose, the curve of her lips, the exact color of her eyes. Everything felt too familiar to be mere coincidence. "Wow, what a pretty place," Emmy exclaimed as they entered the executive office on the 20th floor. The enormous windows offered a panoramic view of the city. Jennifer went to the private refrigerator and grabbed some savory snacks, fruit and juice. "Help yourself," she offered, placing everything on the conference table. Emmy ate with a politeness that surprised Jennifer. She didn't dive into the food like a starving child would. She chewed slowly, wiped her mouth with the napkin and thanked her after every bite. "Grandma taught me good manners. She says poverty isn't an excuse for rudeness," Emmy explained, noticing Jennifer's curious gaze. "She's right. Tell me more about your grandmother." Grandma Margaret worked her whole life as a housekeeper. She took care of a very wealthy family here in New York City, but one day something really sad happened, and she had to leave in a hurry. Jennifer felt her blood run cold. "What kind of sad thing?" "I don't really know. She never wants to talk about it. She just says it wasn't her fault, but no one believed her. Since then, we've been getting by however we can." "And how long have you lived like this?" "Forever, I think." Grandma says she's been taking care of me since I was really little. Jennifer had to restrain herself from asking more questions. Her mind raced frantically, connecting dots she had tried to forget for 8 long years. Emmy, has your grandmother ever told you anything about how you came to be with her? The girl stopped eating and looked directly into Jennifer's eyes. Why do you want to know? She asked with a maturity beyond her years. Just curiosity. You seem like a very special girl. Grandma says I am special, that I was born into an important family, but fate wanted me to stay with her. She says one day, when I'm older, I'll understand everything. Jennifer's heart pounded. Every word from Emmy confirmed her deepest suspicions. Would you like to meet that important family? I don't know. Grandma's the only family I've ever known. What if this family doesn't want me back? The girl's voice trembled slightly. Jennifer summoned all her willpower not to hug Emmy right then. Instead, she stood and walked to the window, pretending to admire the view while collecting her thoughts. What if they did want you? She asked without turning around. Then, I don't know what I'd do. Would they be good people? Would they even like me being poor and dirty like this? I'm sure any family would be proud to have a polite, hard-working girl like you. Emmy finished eating in silence. Jennifer could tell the child was deep in thought. I should get back to Grandma. She worries when I'm gone too long, Emmy said, rising from the chair. Of course, but before you go, let me give you this. Jennifer opened her wallet and took out a considerable amount of money. I can't accept this. I didn't do anything to deserve so much. Emmy refused, gently pushing Jennifer's hand away. You cleaned my shoe, and besides, you made me remember important things I'd forgotten. What kind of things? Jennifer hesitated. How could she explain to a 10-year-old that she might be her long-lost daughter? Things about family, about what really matters in life. Emmy accepted only a small portion of the money. This is enough for Grandma's medicine and food for a few days. Thank you, Miss Collins. How do you know my name? It's written right there on the nameplate. Emmy pointed to the executive nameplate. Jennifer smiled. The girl was observant and sharp. Emmy, can I ask you a favor? Sure. Tomorrow, same time, could you come back here? I'd like to meet your grandmother. Maybe I can help with her medicine. Emmy's face lit up but quickly turned wary again. Why do you want to help us? No one's ever wanted to help before. Because sometimes we meet special people when we least expect it. And you are special, Emmy. The girl smiled for the first time since arriving at the office. It was a sweet, genuine smile that made Jennifer's heart race even faster. All right, I'll come back tomorrow, but Grandma might not want to come. She's ashamed to ask for help. Then we won't say it's help. We'll say it's a job. I need someone to clean my office, and your grandmother might be the right person. Grandma would like that. She misses working. Jennifer walked Emmy to the elevator. As they said goodbye, the girl turned and asked, Mrs. Collins, do you have children? The question caught Jennifer off guard. She swallowed hard before answering. I did. A daughter. Where is she now? I don't know. She was lost a long time ago. That's so sad. I bet she looked like me, right? That's why you were so nice today. Jennifer couldn't answer. She simply nodded as the elevator doors closed. Once alone, Jennifer collapsed into her executive chair. Her hands trembled as she picked up the phone to call her lawyer. Michael, I need you to find information about a woman for me. Name? Margaret. Last name unknown. Worked as a housekeeper 8 years ago. Jennifer, what's this about? Are you okay? Just do what I'm asking. It's urgent. Do you have any other information that might help? Jennifer hesitated. Should she share her suspicions? She worked for me. She left around the time of Emily Grace's accident. There was silence on the other end of the line. Jennifer, you can't be thinking what I think you're thinking. Just find information about her, Michael, please. After hanging up, Jennifer opened her computer and began researching everything she could about missing children, cases of kidnappings disguised as accidents, legal procedures for regaining custody. The more she searched, the more certain she became. Emmy wasn't just a girl who resembled her daughter. Emmy was her daughter. The next morning, Jennifer arrived at the office early. She had slept only 2 hours, spending the entire night reviewing old documents, photos from the time of the accident, medical reports. Michael arrived at 9 with a folder full of information. "I found her," he said, placing the papers on the table. Margaret Wilson, 68 years old, worked as a housekeeper for over 40 years. She left her last job in December 2015, exactly when Emily Grace's accident happened. Go on. There's no official record of where she lives now. It seems she's living off the grid. But Jennifer, I need to warn you about something. What? If your suspicions are correct, this will open a very complicated criminal case. Margaret could be charged with kidnapping. Jennifer shook her head firmly. I don't want her charged with anything. I just want my daughter back. It won't be that simple. If Emily Grace is alive and with Margaret, there's an explanation for it. And that explanation might involve... Michael, stop. I don't want to hear theories right now. I just want to focus on finding my daughter. At 2 in the afternoon, as agreed, Emmy appeared at the office. This time she wasn't alone. An elderly woman with grey hair and very simple clothes accompanied her. Jennifer's legs nearly gave out when she saw Margaret. She looked exactly as she remembered. Older, thinner, more fragile, but undeniably her. "Mrs. Collins, this is my grandma Margaret," Emmy introduced proudly. Margaret kept her eyes down, clearly uncomfortable. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Wilson," Jennifer said, extending her hand. Margaret's reaction was unexpected. She lifted her head to look at Jennifer and immediately paled. Her legs buckled, and she had to lean on Emmy to keep from falling. "Grandma, what's wrong?" Emmy asked, worried. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just feeling a little faint," Margaret replied, but her eyes never left Jennifer's face. "Mrs. Wilson, please sit down. Let me get you a glass of water," offered Jennifer. When she returned with the water, she found Margaret whispering urgently into Emmy's ear. "We need to leave, now," the older woman was saying. "But Grandma, Mrs. Collins is going to give us work. Didn't you want to work again?" "I changed my mind. Let's go." Jennifer realized Margaret had recognized her and was trying to flee. "Mrs. Wilson, wait, we can talk calmly." "We have nothing to discuss," Margaret replied, grabbing Emmy's hand. "I think we do, especially about Emily Grace." The name made Margaret freeze. Emmy looked confused between the two. "Who's Emily Grace?" the girl asked. Margaret and Jennifer exchanged glances. A heavy silence filled the air. "Grandma, who is Emily Grace?" Emmy insisted. "No one important, sweetheart. Let's go." "It's you, Emmy," Jennifer said, unable to hold back any longer. "Emily Grace is your real name." Emmy stared at Jennifer as if she had spoken in a foreign language. "I don't understand. My name is Emily Grace Emmy Wilson." "No, darling. Your name is Emily Grace Collins, and I'm your mother." The impact of the revelation was devastating. Emmy let go of Margaret's hand and took a few steps back. "That can't be true. My mother died when I was a baby. Grandma told me." Margaret began to cry silently. "I didn't lie, sweetheart. Your mother did die. She died the day of the accident," she said, looking straight at Jennifer. "What do you mean, Mrs. Wilson?" Jennifer questioned. "I'm right here, alive. You died as a mother the day you left your daughter alone with me. The day you chose work over your own family." The accusation hit Jennifer like a punch to the gut. "That's not fair. I was working to give her a better life." "And where were you when she nearly drowned in the pool?" Margaret asked, her voice trembling with restrained emotion. Emmy looked back and forth between them, trying to understand what was happening. "I was in a very important meeting. You were supposed to be watching her," Jennifer replied. "I was watching her. I only left for 5 minutes to get her snack from the kitchen. When I came back, she was at the bottom of the pool, nearly lifeless." Tears began streaming down Jennifer's face. "The doctors said that she hadn't survived." "The doctors were wrong. She survived. But when she woke up in the hospital, you weren't there. You were in another meeting, closing another deal." "That's not true. I searched every hospital in the city for her." "Liar!" Margaret shouted, losing control. "I waited 3 days for you at that hospital, 3 days, and you never showed up." Emmy started crying, confused and frightened by the argument. "Stop fighting," the girl yelled. "I don't understand anything you're saying." Jennifer and Margaret immediately turned to comfort her. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," Margaret said, hugging Emmy. "We shouldn't be fighting in front of you." "Grandma, is it true that I almost drowned?" Margaret looked at Jennifer before answering. "Yes, it's true, but you survived, and I've been taking care of you ever since." "Then why does Mrs. Collins think she's my mother?" "Because she is," Margaret admitted, her voice barely audible. The silence that followed was deafening. Emmy slowly processed the information. "So my parents didn't die. My mother is right here," she said, looking at Jennifer. "Yes, sweetheart, I've always been here," Jennifer replied, trying to step closer. But Emmy pulled away. "If you're my mother, why did you abandon me at the hospital? Why didn't you look for me?" Jennifer tried to explain, but the words wouldn't come. How could she explain 8 years of guilt, remorse, and pain to a child? "I did look for you, but they told me that you hadn't survived your injuries." "Liar," Emmy said, her tears turning to anger. "If you had really looked for me, you would have found me." "Emmy, please, let me explain." "No," the girl shouted. "Grandma Margaret never lied to me. If she says you abandoned me, then it's true." The situation was spiraling out of control. Jennifer could feel she was losing her daughter again, this time perhaps forever. "Margaret, please explain to her. Tell the truth." Margaret took a deep breath. "The truth is, I did something very wrong," she admitted, looking Emmy in the eyes. "When you woke up in the hospital and your mother wasn't there, I got scared." "Scared of what, Grandma?" "Scared of being blamed for the accident? Scared of going to jail? Scared of losing you?" Jennifer began to understand what had happened. "So you ran away with her from the hospital?" "I did. I took Emily Grace away while she was still recovering. I changed our names and we went far away from everything." "But why didn't you give her back later, when you saw I was looking for her?" and Jennifer asked. "Because I already loved her as if she were my own granddaughter, and because you never looked hard enough. If you had really searched, you would have found us." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The argument was interrupted by the unexpected arrival of Michael, who entered the office without knocking. "Jennifer, I need to speak with you urgently," he said, stopping abruptly when he saw Margaret and Emmy. "Michael, this isn't a good time." "It is, especially after what I've discovered." He looked directly at Margaret. "You're Margaret Wilson, correct?" Margaret nodded warily. "Then you should know there's been a search and seizure warrant in your name for 8 years for child abduction." Jennifer's blood ran cold. "Michael, I told you I didn't want her charged with anything." "I didn't request the warrant, Jennifer. It was issued automatically when you reported Emily Grace's disappearance back then." Margaret began to tremble. "Am I going to jail?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "Not necessarily. It depends on what Jennifer decides to do now." Emmy looked from one to the other, not fully understanding the situation, but sensing it was very serious. "No one is going to jail," Jennifer declared firmly. "Michael, cancel that warrant. Now." "Jennifer, it's not that simple. There's a protocol." "I don't care about protocol," Jennifer shouted. "I want my daughter back, but I don't want the woman who cared for her all these years to be punished for it." "Mrs. Collins," Emmy said, her voice small and frightened. "Does Grandma have to leave?" "No, sweetheart, no one will separate you," Jennifer promised, kneeling to meet the girl's eyes. "But how? You said you're my mother." "And Grandma said she took care of me all these years. I don't understand." Jennifer looked at Margaret. Despite all the anger and frustration, she could see the genuine love the woman had for Emmy. "Emmy, it's possible to have more than one person who loves us like family. Margaret took care of you when I couldn't. That makes her your real grandmother, blood or not." "And you?" Emmy asked. "If you're really my mother, why don't I feel anything special when I look at you?" The question cut Jennifer's heart like a blade. "Because you don't know me yet. But we can get to know each other slowly if you want." "And can Grandma Margaret stay with me?" Jennifer looked at Margaret. The decision she made now would shape all their futures. "Yes, if she wants to." Margaret looked up surprised. "Even after everything I did, even though I stole your daughter from you. You didn't steal her. You saved her. If it weren't for you, I really would have lost my daughter forever." Tears began to roll down Margaret's face. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry for everything. I'm sorry too. I'm sorry I wasn't there when she needed me. I'm sorry it took me 8 years to find you. Emmy looked at the two women crying and made a decision. Can I hug you both at the same time? The embrace between the three of them was long and full of conflicting emotions. Pain from the separation, relief at the reunion, fear of the future, but also hope. Michael cleared his throat, interrupting the moment. I'm sorry, but we still need to resolve the legal matter. Margaret is still technically in an irregular situation. What needs to be done? Asked Jennifer. First, we need to formally establish that Emmy is really Emily Grace. DNA tests will be necessary, even though we're all certain, and after that, then we need to decide on custody. Jennifer has parental rights, but Margaret has 8 years of documented care. I don't want to lose Grandma Margaret, Emmy said quickly. And I don't want to take you away from each other, Jennifer replied. I've already lost 8 years with my daughter. I don't want her to lose the person who raised her. So what's the solution? Michael asked. Jennifer thought for a moment. I want Margaret to come live with me, both of you. I want us to be a family all together. Margaret shook her head. I can't accept that. You have a life, a company. You can't change everything for our sake. Yes, I can, and I want to. Ms. Collins, Emmy said, are you sure? Grandma needs special care. She has health problems. What kind of problems? Her heart isn't doing well, and sometimes she forgets things. Jennifer looked at Margaret with new understanding. The woman who had cared for her daughter for 8 years now needed care herself. Then that's another reason for us to stay together. Both of you need medical care, school, a stable life, and I need to learn how to be a mother again. But what if it doesn't work out? Margaret asked. What if after a while you get tired of us? That won't happen, because now I know what really matters in life. Michael interrupted again. I'm sorry, but there's a practical issue. Margaret has technically been a fugitive for 8 years. She doesn't have updated documents, no fixed residence, no way to prove income. Then we'll take care of all that, Jennifer said. Michael, I want you to handle all the paperwork. Regularize Margaret's situation, get new documents for Emmy with the correct name, arrange medical certificates, everything. That will take time. I don't care. In the meantime, they stay with me. Emmy looked at Margaret. Grandma, do you want to live in a real house? With a bed, a bathroom, and food every day? Margaret smiled through her tears. I do, sweetheart. But only if you want to, too. I do. But only if Ms. Collins promises to let me keep calling you Grandma. Of course you can, Jennifer replied. Margaret will always be your grandmother, and I'll learn how to be your mother again. From that moment on, the lives of the three women changed completely. Jennifer cancelled all her meetings for the following week and devoted herself entirely to getting to know her daughter and caring for Margaret. She discovered that Emmy was an extremely intelligent girl who had taught herself to read and had an impressive memory for numbers. Margaret, despite her health problems, was an endless source of stories and wisdom. Miss Collins, Emmy said one morning as they had breakfast together, can I ask you something? You can ask me anything you want. Did you really look for me all these years? Jennifer took a deep breath. It was the question she feared most. At first, yes. I looked everywhere. I hired detectives, put up posters, offered rewards. But after 2 years without a single lead, you gave up. I threw myself into work to try to forget the pain. It was wrong, I know. And now, you won't work as much anymore? Now I'll work just enough to take good care of both of you. Emmy smiled. I think I can learn to like you as a mother. And I'll learn to be the mother you deserve. The first few weeks were challenging. Emmy was used to a simple life and sometimes felt out of place in Jennifer's luxury apartment. Margaret, on the other hand, struggled with being cared for instead of doing the caring. Grandma, you don't have to clean. Mrs. Jennifer has a cleaning lady, Emmy said, finding Margaret scrubbing the living room at 6 in the morning. I can't just sit still, my dear. I've worked my whole life. I don't know how to be taken care of. Jennifer, who had woken up early to work, overheard the conversation and decided to step in. Margaret, can I talk to you? Of course. I understand it's hard to accept help after a lifetime of being independent, but you're not being taken care of. You're being looked after, and that's different. How so? You dedicated 8 years of your life to raising my daughter. You saved her life and raised her with love and good values. Now it's my turn to look after you. But I feel useless like this. Then let's find something for you to do. How about helping me get to know Emmy better? You can tell me stories about her, teach me the things she likes. Margaret's face lit up. I can do that. I have plenty of stories to tell. And Margaret, thank you for everything. Thank me for what? For saving my daughter, for being the mother I didn't know how to be, for giving her love when I wasn't there. Margaret began to cry. Jennifer, can I tell you something? Go ahead. Deep down, I always knew this day would come. I always knew you'd find us. Why? Because a real mother never truly gives up, and I could see Emmy inherited so much from you. The intelligence, the determination, the way she tilts her head when she's thinking. Jennifer smiled. And she inherited a lot from you too. The kindness, the manners, the warm way she treats people. I think we both raised a very special girl. We did. The conversation was interrupted by Emmy, who appeared in the kitchen still in her pajamas. Are you two talking about me? She asked, rubbing her eyes. We're planning your future, Jennifer replied. What kind of plan? First, you're going back to school. I want you to have the best education possible. What about Grandma? Will she be alone here? Grandma will start medical treatment, and maybe, if she wants, she can help other kids like you. How so? Margaret asked. I'm thinking of starting a program at my company to help homeless children. You could lead it. I'd love that, Margaret said, her eyes shining. What about me? Can I help too? Emmy asked. Of course. During school breaks, you can join the program. The first months of their new life together were a constant adjustment. Jennifer drastically reduced her workload, delegating more responsibilities to her team. Emmy was enrolled in a nearby private school, but insisted on coming home for lunch to check on Margaret. Margaret, in turn, began cardiac treatment and showed significant improvement. The forgetfulness, which had actually been caused by stress and poor diet, practically disappeared. Mrs. Jennifer, Emmy said one afternoon after school, can I tell you something? Always. Today at school, the teacher asked us to write an essay about our family. What did you write? I wrote that I have two mothers, one who gave me life and one who saved my life, and that now we're all one family. Jennifer felt her eyes fill with tears. What did the teacher say? She said it was the most beautiful essay she'd ever read. That night, after Emmy went to sleep, Jennifer and Margaret talked at length about the future. Jennifer, can I ask you something? Said Margaret. Of course. When I die. Margaret, don't talk like that. Let me finish. When I die, I want you to promise you'll tell Emmy all the stories about these 8 years we spent together. I don't want her to forget. She won't forget. And you'll be here to tell those stories for many more years. Maybe, but I want you to promise anyway. I promise, but on one condition. What? That you teach me how to make that cake recipe Emmy loves. I want to learn everything you do for her. Margaret smiled. It's a deal. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. 6 months later, the new routine was completely established. Jennifer had found the perfect balance between work and family. The company kept thriving, but now she had very clear priorities. Emmy adjusted perfectly to her new private school and became one of the top students in her class. She made friends quickly and always invited them over to meet her two mums. Margaret coordinated the company's social program with impressive dedication. In just a few months, they had already helped over 50 homeless children find families or safe shelters. Grandma, you know all these kids by name, Emmy remarked, amazed during a visit to the program. It's important to know each child's name. It makes them feel special, Margaret replied. Is that how you made me feel special when we lived on the streets? I tried my best, my dear. You did more than your best. You were perfect. Jennifer, who had been watching the conversation, stepped closer. Margaret really was perfect. I'll never be able to thank her enough for everything she did for you. Mom, Emmy said, and Jennifer's heart skipped. It was the first time the girl had called her that so naturally. Do you think other kids could have the same luck I did? What luck? The luck of having two moms who love each other and love me. Jennifer looked at Margaret and smiled. I think so, if we work hard for it. Then let's work, Emmy said, with the determination of someone much older. A year after their reunion, Jennifer decided to throw a special party. It wasn't anyone's birthday or a holiday. It was simply a celebration of the family they had built together. Why are we having a party? Emmy asked, helping decorate the room. Because today marks exactly 1 year since we reunited at the mall, Jennifer replied, and that's worth celebrating? It's the best reason I know. Margaret smiled, hanging colorful balloons. Jennifer, can I tell you something I've never told anyone? Go ahead. That day when Emmy came back from the mall and told me about you, I knew immediately who you were. What do you mean? She described you in detail. Your eye color, the way you talk, even the brand of your shoes. I remembered everything. And why didn't you run away that same day? Because I realized Emmy was curious about you. For the first time in 8 years, she asked questions about her biological family. She'd never asked before. Never. I think part of her always knew this day would come. And you? Weren't you afraid of losing her? I was terrified, but I also had hope. Hope for what? That you'd be the mother she deserved, and that maybe, just maybe, there'd be room for me in your lives too. Jennifer stopped decorating and hugged Margaret. There will always be room for you. You're not just part of our family. You're the heart of our family. The party was small, just the three of them, but it was perfect. They ate the cake Jennifer had learned to make with Margaret, shared stories from the past year, and made plans for the future. Mom, said Emmy at the end of the evening, can I ask you something? Always. When I grow up and have kids, I want Grandma Margaret to be their grandmother too. I'm sure she'd love that. And you'll be a much better grandmother than you were a mom at first, Emmy added with a mischievous smile. Hey, Jennifer protested, feigning indignation. It's true. Now you know family is more important than work. I learned from the best teachers, Jennifer said, looking at Margaret and Emmy. 2 years later, their lives had completely stabilized. Emmy was a confident and caring teenager, excelling in school and helping with the social program whenever she could. Margaret, now 70, had become a respected figure in the community. Her program had helped over 200 children and families in vulnerable situations. Jennifer had found the perfect balance between professional success and personal fulfillment. Her company was more prosperous than ever, but she never missed an important family event again. Mom, Emmy said one Saturday morning, can you take me to the mall today? Of course. What do you want to buy? I don't want to buy anything. I want to show you something. Curious, Jennifer agreed. When they arrived at the mall, Emmy led her to the exact spot where they had met 3 years earlier. Why did you bring me here? Jennifer asked. Because I want to do something symbolic. Emmy knelt and pulled a cloth from her pocket. Can I clean your shoe? She asked, smiling. Jennifer felt her eyes fill with tears. Emmy, you don't have to. I want to show I'm not ashamed of where I came from. And to thank you for stopping to listen to me that day. Jennifer extended her foot, and Emmy carefully cleaned the shoe, just as she had 3 years before. There, Emmy said, standing up. Now you can give me a hug. The embrace between mother and daughter, in the same place where it all began, was long and emotional. Several people passed by, glancing curiously, but they didn't care. Emmy, Jennifer said when they pulled apart, you know you're the most important thing in my life, right? I know. And you and Grandma are the most important things in mine too. Even after everything that happened, even after I lost you for 8 years. Especially because of that. Because now I know we'll never lose each other again. As they walked back home, Jennifer reflected on how life could change completely in a single moment. A simple request from a girl on the street had transformed 3 broken lives into a complete family. Mom, Emmy said, interrupting her thoughts. Do you think everything happened the way it was supposed to? What do you mean? If you hadn't lost me in that accident, would we have been just as happy? Jennifer thought for a moment. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I would have stayed an absent mom, always putting work first. And maybe I wouldn't be who I am today without Grandma's upbringing. Possibly. Sometimes the bad things that happen to us lead us to better places. So was it worth it? All the pain. Was it worth it? Jennifer looked at her daughter, now a confident and wise teenager. Yes, because it brought us here. That evening, the three of them had dinner together as usual. Margaret shared stories from Emmy's childhood, Jennifer talked about her company's projects, and Emmy shared updates from school. It was a simple, everyday scene, but it represented everything Jennifer had lost and found again, the family she hadn't valued in the past, but was now her absolute priority. Grandma, Emmy said at the end of dinner, tell that story about when I was little and tried to make a cake by myself. Oh, that story, Margaret laughed. You were 5 years old and wanted to surprise me. As Margaret told the story for the 100th time, Jennifer watched the two people who had given meaning to her life. Emmy, who had grown up strong and determined despite all the hardships. Margaret, who had dedicated the last years of her life to raising a child who wasn't even her biological daughter. Jennifer, Margaret said, noticing she was lost in thought. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking about how lucky I am. Lucky why? To have you two. To have discovered what really matters in life. To have learned that success isn't just measured in money or professional achievements. And how else is it measured? Emmy asked. It's measured in the amount of love you receive and the love you give. And I feel like the richest person in the world. 5 years after their reunion, the family had grown, not in number, but in love, trust, and closeness. Emmy, now 15, was a mature and responsible young woman who helped Margaret with the social program and dreamed of studying psychology to help even more children. Margaret, at 73, remained active and sharp, considered by everyone as the heart of the social program. Her life experience and her ability to understand the needs of vulnerable children made her an exceptional coordinator. Jennifer had become an even more successful businesswoman, but now for different reasons. Her company was nationally recognized, not just for its quality products, but especially for its social responsibility. Mom, Emmy said one afternoon as they did homework together, do you remember that day at the mall? How could I forget? It was the most important day of my life. What did you think when you first saw me? I thought you were the most polite girl I'd ever met, and that there was something familiar about you, but I couldn't figure out what. And when you found out I was your daughter, I felt scared. Scared of what? Scared that you wouldn't want to know me. Scared that you'd be angry at me for losing you. Scared I wouldn't know how to be your mother after so much time had passed. And now, are you still scared? Jennifer stopped reviewing Emmy's notebook and looked straight into her daughter's eyes. Now I'm scared of other things. Like what? I'm scared you'll grow up too fast. I'm scared I'll miss an important moment in your life. I'm scared I won't be the mother you deserve. Mom, you already are the mother I deserve, and you know why? Why? Because you chose to be my mother. When you found me, you could have decided it was too late, that I already had another family. But you chose to fight for me. And you? Do you regret agreeing to meet me? Never. Because I learned it's possible to love two mothers at the same time. I love Grandma Margaret for taking care of me when I was little, and I love you for finding me and taking care of me now. Just then, Margaret walked into the room. What are you two talking about? About family love, Emmy answered. Oh, my favorite subject, Margaret said, sitting beside them. Grandma, do you regret anything? Emmy asked. I regret waiting so long to tell you both the truth. You could have found each other much sooner. But maybe it wasn't the right time, Jennifer said. Maybe I needed all those years to learn how to be a better mother. And maybe I needed time to grow up and understand things, Emmy added. Do you believe everything happens at the right time? Margaret asked. I do, Jennifer replied. If we'd found each other sooner, maybe I wouldn't have valued this moment as much. Maybe I'd still be too focused on work. And maybe I wasn't mature enough to understand that I can have two mothers, without betraying either one, said Emmy. Margaret smiled. So our family came together exactly when it was meant to. And now, asked Emmy, what happens when I grow up and leave home? Nothing changes, Jennifer answered immediately. We're family forever, no matter where you are or what you're doing. And when I get married and have kids, your children will have 2 grandmothers and 1 great-grandmother, said Margaret. They'll be the luckiest kids in the world. The conversation was interrupted by the phone. It was Michael, the lawyer, calling Jennifer. Jennifer, I have some news to share. What kind of news? Your social program has been selected for a national award for social responsibility. Jennifer looked at Margaret and Emmy. Michael, can you call back later? I'm having a family moment. But Jennifer, this is a very important award. More important than my family? Call me tomorrow. And she hung up. What award was that? Emmy asked. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we're together right now. But Mum, it might be important for Grandma's program. We'll find out tomorrow. Today is our family time. Margaret watched Jennifer with pride. You've really changed, Jennifer. How so? 5 years ago, you would have taken that call and spent the rest of the night talking about work. 5 years ago, I didn't know what truly mattered in life, and now you do. Now I know moments like this are priceless, that awards and recognition are important, but they're not everything. That being here, talking with the 2 of you, is worth more than any professional success. Emmy stood up and hugged Jennifer. Thank you for learning that. Thank you for teaching me. The next day, they found out the social program had indeed won a major national award. The ceremony would be in Washington, D.C., with press coverage and government officials in attendance. We're all going to Washington, D.C., Jennifer decided. You don't have to, said Margaret. You can represent the program alone. The program is ours, all 3 of ours. We're going together. But I'll be nervous, Margaret admitted. Me too, said Emmy. I've never been to an elegant ceremony before. Then we'll be nervous together, Jennifer laughed. That's what family is for too, to share the nerves. The trip to Washington, D.C. was the first time the 3 of them had left New York City together. During the flight, Emmy was mesmerized, watching the clouds through the window. Margaret got emotional seeing her granddaughter's reaction. Grandma, have you never been on a plane before? Emmy asked. Never. In my time, this was for rich people. And now you're rich, said Jennifer. Not in money. In love, which is the most important kind of wealth. The ceremony was moving. When they called the program's name to receive the award, all 3 of them went up to the stage together. Jennifer gave a short but heartfelt speech. This award isn't mine. It belongs to a woman named Margaret, who dedicated her life to caring for children. It belongs to a girl named Emmy, who taught me the true meaning of family. And it belongs to all the children we serve, who teach us daily about resilience and hope. In the audience, there wasn't a dry eye. Their story had touched everyone's hearts. After the ceremony, they went to dinner at an elegant restaurant. Emmy was dazzled by all the sophistication. Mom, did you always live like this? I did, but I never truly enjoyed it. Why? Because I was always alone. Luxury means nothing without family to share it with. And now? Now everything is meaningful. Even a sandwich in the square would be special if it was with the 2 of you. Margaret smiled. Jennifer, can I ask you a personal question? All your questions can be personal. Do you miss the life you had before? From the freedom to work late, to travel for business, to having no family responsibilities? Jennifer thought for a moment. No, not for a second. That life was empty. I thought I was living, but I was just surviving. And aren't you afraid you'll regret it in the future? The only regret I have is not valuing family sooner. If I could go back in time, I'd change so many things. What would you change? Asked Emmy. I'd have worked less when you were a baby. I'd have spent more time playing with you, giving you baths, putting you to sleep. I'd have hired a nanny instead of leaving all the responsibility to Margaret. But then maybe the accident wouldn't have happened, said Emmy. Exactly. And you wouldn't have gotten lost, and we wouldn't have spent 8 years apart. But then maybe you wouldn't have learned what you did, Margaret pointed out. That's true. It's hard to know if the bad things that happen to us are necessary for our growth. Grandma, said Emmy, Do you regret taking me from the hospital? Margaret let out a deep sigh. That's a question I've asked myself every day for 8 years. And what's the answer? The answer has changed over time. At first, I was sure I'd done the right thing. Then, when you started asking questions about your family, I began to doubt. Now, I think I did the best I could in the situation I was in. I was scared, confused, and I followed my heart. Which was to protect me. Exactly. It doesn't matter if it was right or wrong. It was what my love for you told me to do. Jennifer reached across the table and held Margaret's hand. Thank you for protecting our daughter. Our daughter? Of course, she's my blood, but she's your child by upbringing. That makes her our daughter. Emmy took both women's hands, and I'm proud to be both of yours. End of story. Now tell me what you thought of this touching story about how fate can bring a family together through the simplest gesture. Do you think Jennifer made the right choice by accepting Margaret as part of the family? Leave your honest opinions in the comments about this journey of reunion, forgiveness, and unconditional love. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.